Terry! It's here, 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 it's here. Rugby league is back.
He's never going to sleep. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Rugby League Outlaws, brought to you by our good friends at Top Sport. As you can see, my colleague here is happy that Rugby League is back. We had a game on the weekend as well.
Had a couple of games, not that anyone cares.
Yeah, no.
Rugby league's back, did you say, Terry?
Rugby League is back. Trials only, but
I don't
it's
care.
back.
Football is
We
football.
get a team list Tuesday. I'm so excited for that. But speaking of, the news just keeps coming in. Now, as predicted on Rugby League Outlaws on this very couch
Again.
last week, we said that Joey Manu would not play against the Sydney Roosters. He would be au revoir.
Hey!
Or sayonara.
He would be Joey Sacre Bleu.
Yeah, off to French or Japanese rugby. We didn't care where he was going to go. I don't even care.
I don't care where he ended up.
But he has said that 2024 will be his last season.
What a waste.
I feel that the Roosters have really, really dropped the ball here because James Tedesco, he's not getting any better.
Well, he's not. He's at the end of his career, as every single player who's ever played the game will come to an end of their career, and they've lost not one but two world-class fullbacks, all for what, one, potentially two more seasons. Roosters fans are blowing up. I love it. You'd love to see it, but this is one they're going to rue. Joey Manu, superstar in the making. Well, superstar now.
I think Suaalii will come back. I don't think he'll come back to the Roosters. I think he'll go and play his World Cup and he'll come back, right? No, taking nothing away from James Tedesco because he's still a premier fullback in the competition, but Joey Manu literally won a golden boot, was one of the best players at the World Cup, and was one of the best players in the last, Tri-Nations that we had.
He's a freak. He's
so good.
Every time he goes to fullback, he makes 300 metres like it's nothing. And imagine how good he'll be with an off-season training at fullback and then games on games. I think this is one they're really going to look back at and go, oh.
I also think this is one where Joey Manu's agent has managed to get him paid, because you want to talk about superstars in our game. He may not be a top 10 player, but he's
top 20.
Yeah, he's definitely, but he's very well known.
He's very well.
Multiple time centre of the year, fullback. We said won a golden boot. They're playing for the Kiwis.
Did you hear the talk? Everyone's going, the Roosters aren't going to pay him 1.2 million. Dragons would have paid him 1.5. I think
if he walked to Cronulla from Bondi, if he walked there and said, Fitz, I want to come and play for you guys, and I want $1.5 million, I would have expected Fitz to be on the phone to Will Kennedy's manager saying, shop him, because we've just signed Joey Manu.
Spot on. So I think it's just he doesn't want to play against the Roosters.
Yeah.
Because if he wanted to play fullback on 1.5, he would have got it at 6 or 7 other clubs.
Yeah, absolutely he would have.
But he's not the only one, Terry.
He's not the only one. Angus Crichton as well has come out and said that he will not play against the Roosters. I don't think the Roosters cared, but he's gone to rugby.
I've seen some mixed reports, some mixed reactions from fans coming into this one. Half of them are like, we lost him. Other half like, who cares? There's a bit of an exodus from the Roosters. Now, I know they're saying they don't want to play against the team, but that feels like a bit of a cop-out to me. Okay, if you want to go play rugby and earn good money in a World Cup cycle, good on you. As is your right. But if you really cared about the Roosters, wouldn't you say, I'll take a bit of a pay cut and stay with the team I love?
Yeah, I think not so much Joey Manu, but if you have a look at Angus Crichton, the writing's on the wall because they've got some really, really good young forwards coming in, and Crichton is in his 30s.
Yeah, he may not make their best 17.
Yeah, so I think when you're having a look at Angus Crichton, this makes sense. If he genuinely doesn't want to play against the Roosters, then rugby is a great shot for him to go and get some extra money in his retirement fund. Losing Joey Manu, though, and I'm one of Joey Manu's biggest critics, it sucks.
Huge. It's great.
But it's great.
It's great.
No one cares about the Roosters. Dan, I'll let you talk about this one, because I don't want to talk about it this early. It's not even round one, Dan.
Fair call.
We haven't even had a team list Tuesday. Manly just beat South 68 points to 6. I don't want to hear about it.
Completely fair, but we can talk about it because that's what the people want.
Yeah.
Incoming New South Wales coach Michael Maguire has come out and said that no spot is safe. What's been done, we thank you for, but I'll be picking on form and with a plan.
Let me just say something here. No spot is safe because Brad Fittler's team was hot garbage.
Yes. Secondly, thank you, but we now have a bloke who picks on form and has a plan. Something we haven't had in many, many years.
This is also a guy who continuously picked Luke Brooks, though, when he was at the Tigers.
I don't think he had a choice, though.
I mean, if you want to pick
We
on...
should have had one.
If you want to pick
That's
on
another
form,
argument for another day.
If you want to go and pick on form, you go and pick the cactus down the road over Luke Brooks.
There's no arguments here. But I took this as a direct shot at James Tedesco, who shouldn't have played last year. Wasn't in form, didn't play particularly well.
I guarantee you he's the captain.
I hope not. But if he's a form player at the time, then you can't argue with that, because I've always been a big proponent of picking on form. Mm-hmm. We saw Tavita Pangai Jr. picked on who knows what. We saw...
A win and a prayer.
Look, I honestly don't know what Brad Fittler was thinking. I don't want to turn this into a rant, but these are the words I like to hear. Even if he does go and pick all the incumbents, as long as you can justify it and say, Teddy's in good form, you know.
The Panthers halves combination's fine.
Yeah, they're playing well. Toto's playing well.
Isaiah's playing well.
I like to hear
Martin's
he's saying the right things.
All the Panthers players are playing well.
Yeah, look, if they're leading
Just
the comp...
play Penrith, Brisbane in Origin and let it get going.
If they're leading the comp after 8 rounds, you're going to get 8 players in the team. That's just how this works. But I'm excited because you might see some players who deserved to play last year and were left out ridiculously play football this year for Origin, which is good as a New South Wales fan.
Yeah, and look, this opens up opportunities as well. There are a couple of players just from the New South Wales squad, straight off the top of my head, that should not be playing for them. Damien Cook, James Tedesco are probably the first two I can think of, right? I don't know who your New South Wales fullback would be, but I think it's going to be a shootout between Reece Robson and Blake Brayley. Now, obviously, Robson's going to be well ahead of Blake Brayley in the pecking order, but Brayley's been in squads before. He's been at the training sessions, he's been in the camp, he knows what he's got to do. He's our reigning player of the year, rightfully or wrongfully. But...
Wrongfully.
Yeah, wrongfully. But I think Robson's up there as the next cab off the rank.
Hey, look, Cook might be playing centre. Who knows? One player that won't be, though, Terry, unfortunately, is Campbell Graham, who's sustained to an injury. I believe that was suffered last year.
Might it's power.
6 months. He'll miss.
There's two issues here for me. He's had a whole off season, and they haven't got this right. So the issue number one is the player turning around and going, "My sternum's sore, but I can't lose my spot in the team." Bro, your name's Campbell Graham?
You're sweet.
Yeah. If you had your surgery in October, you'd be back in April, middle of April, you got your spot back.
Yeah.
And if you turn around and saying, "Oh, my sternum's sore, but I was trying to get in the Origin team this year," you're an idiot.
Yep.
Plain and simple, right?
100% agree.
The second thing from South Sydney is if the player's coming in and going, "My sternum's sore," and you haven't sent him for an X-ray until February, I got no sympathy for you.
No. And
he's probably going to be out for the whole season, and we're being robbed of a super coach great.
Super coach great. Very good player.
Very good player.
Mine.
That was just a...
That's completely fair. I got a mate, Brian, who was pretty upset about this as a Souths fan. I 100% agree. If I heard that a player had been injured since September last year or even before, had the entire off season that is wasted, really. Now maybe it got better and just when he came back it re-aggravated. Maybe he didn't want to spend the off season in rehab. Okay, I get it, but this is a bloke who's in the prime of his career, should have played Origin last year, probably would have played this year. Now we're talking about, well, maybe next year. Because he's blown, and I'm not blaming him, I'm saying the situationally though.
Yeah, injuries,
he and the club have to
injuries
cop.
suck, but that happened last year. He missed some games from it. Now you're sitting there again going, how was this not addressed?
Souths have got to cop this because they've got Latrell Mitchell. They ruined his comeback last year. There's 3 or 4 players. I jumped on the forum real quick after I was sent a link, and they're blowing up that so-and-so player missed this week, and they came back early, and then they were out for 6 weeks. Munro's gone, and Cody Walker looks like he'll miss round 1. Definitely out for the All-Stars. Now, okay, injuries, they happen. You can get injured playing with your kids. You go on a barbecue, walking to work. It happens. But South's injuries are piling up quick, and it's ones that could be very avoidable.
And this is the thing that, you know, from our club we get a little bit of information as well, but Toby Rudolph came back to training, and after the 3rd or 4th session he said, "Hey, my foot still doesn't feel right." They sent him away for scans, and they turned around and said, "You know what, you need to spend the entire off-season in the red shirt. We've got to rehab that toe." How was this not addressed? South Sydney fans and fans of the game have a right, because, you know, whether he's the best player at South Sydney or, you know, the drag on the 30th contract, he's still an NRL player, and we're being robbed of him. And he's a sensational player. Now, the Cody Walker news, to me, I was not playing ignorant in our group chat. I had no idea he was injured. What is the latest on Cody Walker?
Mate, I just heard that he's injured and he's not playing in the All-Stars and he's in severe doubt for round 1. Now, I would expect to see a lot of players in severe doubt and then make the trip and be absolutely fine. But the fact he's missing All-Stars, now I know we're going to talk about it in a minute. This is a bloke who I would quite confidently say All-Stars is on par with Origin for him.
Yeah.
There are players, Latrell Mitchell, Nico Hines, other players that have come out, Addo Carr, that have said this is arguably the most important game of the year. For him to miss it says to me that he's injured. Whereas other players that we'll talk about in a minute, I got a bit of a calf, can't play, sorry, can't make the trip. He would literally die for this game. So there's something very serious. You'd have to think he's genuinely in trouble and missing round 1.
The other thing for mine, it's the split round 1. It's, they play in the first weekend of March. Now imagine if they turned around and said, it's a week too early for him. He could have played on the 10th of March. This whole Vegas concept is becoming stupider and stupider by the day.
Every single week.
Now, talking of the All-Stars, you and I love this game. I've been to a couple of them.
It's fun.
It's a tremendous occasion. It's great atmosphere. You get the Indigenous boys and the dancing and, the smoking ceremonies and the welcome to country and all that kind of stuff. And then you get the Polynesian fan base that just sing the entire game. I love it, right? But the big stars, more and more, are pulling out of this game.
The biggest star of them all, Kalen Ponga.
Whether or not they can play or they're injured or, they're focusing on... I didn't like Ponga's comments where he said, I'm pulling out of this game so I want to focus on Origin. Bro, it's January, February, whatever it is.
He did say the Knights in Origin, but the fact he put Origin in there, 100% agree. Yep.
With this game here, is this a chance for us to, again, when we talk about closing the competition down for the rep weekend, is it a chance for that? Is it a chance to be an off-season game? Because I feel the pre-season, the players go into the, into the pre-season, they're giving it their all. They might be exhausted. They might have a twinge in their calf and we're being robbed of them. Could this be moved for the Nines is what I'm going to ask.
Yes. I am a big fan of this game. I think, it's not for us, but as rugby league fans, it's for us. A lot of the stuff, the majority of stuff that happens off field is far more important than the scoreline. Couldn't even tell you who won last year. Don't particularly care.
The Indigenous All-Stars won 28-24 and Nico Hines got the medal.
Perfect. There you go. I'm the biggest league fan in the world. Couldn't tell you. I just remember enjoying the game thinking, here goes Nico. Got injured, missed a couple of weeks for the Sharks. That's going to start happening. We've seen players pull out in the last few hours, even before this.
Like Ruben Cotter has pulled out on the basis that he might get a concussion.
Well, what's in Zelezniak's out?
So does that mean like in round 3, Ruben Cotter's going to pull out of the Cowboys because he might cop a head knock?
Look, when it comes down to it, as important this game is, it's pre-season friendly. Now, I would argue it's more important than, say, the Sharks and the Knights on Saturday or anything else. The Charity Shield's the only other pre-season friendly I would put up as important. And if you class the World Club Challenge as a pre-season friendly, which you should because it's not a competition, they're the 3 that matter. Every other game, if you win, like Manly fans yesterday, we won. South fans like, it doesn't matter, it's only a trial.
Did you see the team list?
I did, and it's...
Manly played that perfectly.
Yeah, Manly went in to win and South were like, God, we got to play a game. Let's just name. You want to play out there?
Yeah.
But where I'm going with this is it's a pre-season friendly. If Nico Hines was the best player in the field and they won 100-0, Nico Hines missed 1 week for the Sharks. For me, that sucks. Very selfishly, for me, Nico would say otherwise, it's a pre-season game. I love the Nines.
Yeah.
Injuries are going to occur. We saw Brad Fittler do a hamstring.
Hilariously.
Yes. We've seen players hurt themselves walking the dog. Things are going to happen. So I see why people don't want the Nines. I personally would rather see the Nines than the All-Stars, but I'd like to see the All-Stars at the end of the season. Yeah. I think it should be the last game of the year rather than the first.
Now, Terrell May, intriguing. Maybe the biggest player off contract at the moment, has shopped himself around
quite physically too.
A couple of clubs, has rejected the latest offer from the Roosters, and his agent has offered his services to St George and Cronulla. Now, before I go and take a dump on little brother, if Terrell May legitimately has offered his services to Cronulla, I hope we've locked him in a room with his agent and said, we've got Addin Fanua-Blake. You and Addin Fanua-Blake is arguably the most terrifying starting front row combination in the competition next year. What is it going to take to get your signature on the paper? Right, sign it. Don't let him go to St George. Yep. Sign the contract, and then figure out who we're not keeping. Yep. And if it means like a Jack Williams has to leave, I'm a massive Jack Williams fan. But if it meant that Hamlin Ueli and Jack Williams, or we didn't pick up the option of Oregon Kafusi, or it's going to pain me to say this, but Kale Iro was released early to make sure that we land this guy's signature, that is massive.
Yep.
Now, I have a feeling he is going to end up at the Dragons with his brothers.
Good shout. I wrote on Zero Tackle last week that they're going to go somewhere as combined. Now, if they were to come to Cronulla, that works for me.
I would not take Tyrone, and I don't think we have a need for Talon.
I like Talon. I don't like Tyrone.
I like Talon.
We don't need him. We don't need him.
But if it meant getting Terrell and Talon to get rid of, and we had to get rid of Iro.
Yep. See, I'm very much in that because I want to be ridiculous F-off forward like Terrell May. His agent is very clever. He's gone, Dragons have got a heap of money and need a signing. Cronulla need this guy to be legitimate. He's going to play them off against each other. He's going to go to Cronulla and say, look, you guys are far better off than the Dragons. Even their coach has said so. You know, we're going to say, hey, if you want to play finals, come to us. And he's going to go, yeah, but I can earn $750,000 over here. And my signing will start signings, blah, blah, blah. And these two teams, neither of them are going to want to lose this one. Because I genuinely think May's the difference between us being very good and very, very, very good. I think he changes everything.
So I mean, there's the option. The only reason why I say I think he'll go to the Dragons, like you'd be an absolute lunatic to pick the Dragons over the Sharks right now. But I think the Dragons are the only team in the market that can turn around and go, hey, Talon's off contract, and Tyrone can get out of his Catalans deal anytime he wants to, even though he just re-signed.
It doesn't matter.
He can get out of that deal anytime that he wants. Generally, ESL contracts will have a NRL clause and a buyout. If you're Catalans, you probably don't want the buyout money, right? With Cronulla, like I don't want Tyrone May at the club at all. We've just signed Adam Fanua-Blake though. Can I turn my head to get Terrell May? And again, if it meant losing Iro and you had Talon May in the centres, or we move Ronaldo into the centres and we had this guy on the wing, like he's a freak.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Never mind, like he's had a little bit of off-field issues and he's got a tattoo on his face or whatever, but he's still a freak. And Penrith have done what they can to keep him. I want Terrell May more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. There's two players we said we need. It's Adam Fanua-Blake and Terrell May. If they can get it done, I'm willing to do some awful things.
I went back and listened to that podcast that you and I did, and we said even though he's not off contract, we need to move heaven and earth to get Adam Fanua-Blake. If we can go into 2025 landing Fanua-Blake and Terrell May, you can say what you want to me in 2024. Like, you can abuse my mum. I had someone the other day on their turn around and said, I bet your mum's so proud that you're a YouTuber. I don't care. Neither does she.
Who cares?
The son's got a roof over his head and my belly's full, right? You can say whatever you want to me. Keep it going. I'll say it. Yeah. I'll give you her number for you to text her.
Completely fair. Let's get it done.
Just get it done.
Gary.
Talk to me, Dan.
Got a few more hot takes.
Love hot takes.
So many hot takes that we couldn't fit them all in.
Now, next week, we have promised that we will have 5 hot takes of our
hot takes. So it's good to put other people on the seat, but had some late ones, had some ones that I've been saving specifically for tonight. So let's get in. Good mate of the show, Luke, has said Broncos missed the top 4. Now, he said they lost the most consistent setter in Herbie. Agreed.
Disagree.
2 rep forwards in Capewell and Flegler. Yep.
Capewell hasn't played rep footy for 2 years.
Tough early draw, a lot of travel. Teams will be ready for them. Panthers, Melbourne, Roosters, Sharks, South, Wars. Don't say that. Warriors. Fighting for the top 4 set and drop. Don't hate it, but I am fairly confident they'll win the minor premiership.
Look, I hadn't looked into Brisbane's draw when you and I named the minor premiers. Now, they do have a tough opening 10 weeks and they do have a lot of travel this year. Last year they got
30 games in a row up there.
Kissed on the proverbial.
Wolves played once out in New South Wales, out of Queensland.
And that was in Origin.
Yeah, once in New South Wales before the finals. Ridiculous. Yeah. Anyways, sorry to cut you off. I don't think they'll miss the 4, but I'm happy to hear them out of the top 2. I can see them dropping out because really, if Reece Wallace gets injured, they come way back.
Yeah. Now, as I said, the most consistent centre in the last 4 years has been Stephen Crichton. And the reason it has been that is because the Daily M centres of the year have been Stephen Crichton and...
Yeah, but he did say last year.
Stephen Crichton was the centre of the year.
Yeah, look, I can hear an argument that Herbie Farnworth's the best centre in the game.
You can't. It's Stephen Crichton and it's not even close.
Yeah, I think it's close.
Was it Stephen Crichton's 3 premierships? His State of Origin?
Yeah, but you put Herbie Farnworth in, they still win those premierships.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of Herbie is what I'm saying. It's a huge loss. I can hear an argument for this. I don't agree. I put him in the
I mean, Kate Will's washed and Flegler's very good.
Washed?
He is. He's so washed.
Okay, fair.
Terrible.
Bit hard.
I think Brisbane and Penrith come back to the pack. They're still the 2 standout teams for me.
Completely fair.
Yeah. They're definitely in the top 4.
This one comes from Jasper, a 2-parter. Brad Arthur or Ricky Stewart, first coach is gone in 2024. Manly to make top 4 without Tommy Turbo. I just want to say, second bit, no Turbo, no top 4. I can't see a world in Ricky Stewart gets sacked, but I can see a world in which he probably deserves to be sacked.
Let's break this into 3 parts. Parramatta have had ample opportunity to sack Brad Arthur, and the barometer for Brad Arthur in this day and age, who knows what it is, because they came last in 2017 and extended his contract. So he's been there for a long time and, you know, they've missed the finals. They've made a grand final the year before. They have been in the top 4, they've been in the top 8, they've come last. So you don't know what the barometer is and you don't know what the threshold is from Parramatta and the board, because you've seen the highest of, or the second highest of high that you can get, and you've seen the lowest of lows for Parramatta, right?
Everything, yeah.
So I don't think Brad Arthur's anywhere near close to being the first coach sacked, but I do think that you're entering about year 10 for him now, year 10 or year 11.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Somewhere along the lines, you have to turn around and say, if he cannot get us to the next state, you've got to try something. Now, I know they haven't won since 1986. I get that, right? But if it's not him, who is it? So that's the first part that I'll say there. I do think that this could be Brad Arthur's final year, although I'm pretty sure he signed an extension recently. This could be the time where Parramatta turn around and go, thank you, but we can pay you out now.
Yep.
Thank you for your service. You'll be a life member because you've done a decade of service with us. With Ricky Stewart, I think Canberra are in a lose-lose situation. Again, he's never taken them to last. And again, he has taken them to the almost highest of high that you can get in the NRL. But you don't know what his barometer of failure is either, because they love him down there. Regardless of what happens, he is a Canberra legend. And they love him down there.
I feel like his barometer is B. Ricky Stewart.
I feel like his barometer is B. Ricky Stewart as well. And whilst you and I might think that Ricky Stewart is a douche and we might think that he's a terrible coach, he's out there in that community. Like the song says, he bleeds green. Yeah, he does. Right? I honestly think that the next person that comes in after Ricky Stewart is not going to have the connection with Canberra. He's not going to have the emotional connection to Canberra, and he's probably on a hiding to nothing because that club hasn't produced many good local juniors. Like they're talking about Chevy Stewart, he's a Sharks junior. Yeah. So they haven't produced a local junior for a long time. They're struggling for halves. They've got an ageing forward pack coming into the competition now. I can't see a situation where he is sacked. But I can see a situation where at the end of the year or come round 20, if they can't make the finals, that he finally turns around and says, you know what? This is my time. I've been here for 10 years now. I can't get you to the next step. That's where I can see. If you want to offer me a coach who I think could be sacked first, I will throw 3 names at you. The first one that I'm going to say is Anthony Seibold at Manly. Now, Manly were indifferent last year. They were up and down, here or there, whatever. But Manly have the peninsula to play with. It's a beautiful spot to live. They are a genuinely big club. They could turf him for, if a good coach comes.
They could afford it.
Yeah, they could turf him. If a good club comes to the market. I'll give you a smoky and say Cameron Ciraldo. I know that Gus Gould moved heaven and earth to get this guy. but he has now recruited everyone that Serrato has asked for. He's brought in more Penrith players. He's got more utilities than you can pay bills, right? I honestly think that he could be up there, and the next one is Demetrio at the Rabbitohs, because they missed the finals last year. If they have a terrible start to this year after getting Jack Whiten and look like they're going to miss the finals again, I can see him being. I can see him.
Well, fair enough. To know there. Okay, Clayton Johns, good mate of the show. Bud Sullivan will be the best half at the West Tigers by mid-season. I'm going to double down on this and say I absolutely agree, because it ain't in season. I don't think young Fainu is there yet.
I think that Fainu will be in the team come round in between round 6 and 10.
I hope so.
Someone's going to get injured. Someone's going to be down in form. Like, I really like the moves that the Tigers have done this off-season.
For the future, yep.
But none of that has happened for what's going to happen on the field. They've got rid of the people who they need to off the field, and they've probably given Benji that more, hey, you don't have that tight leash around your neck anymore.
Do
now.
what you want, yeah.
You know, the last board has made this decision, and we're fully going to back this. And Shane Richardson has come out and said, you know what, there is absolutely zero pressure on Benji this year.
Well, it shouldn't be.
No, they've won 2 wooden spoons. If he goes and gets another wooden spoon this year, what does it matter, right? Because they know that the future is gonna be on an upward trajectory. I think Bud Sullivan is either going to be out of form, or Caesar is going to be terrible back in because he was crap in the Super League, or he'll get injured because he's old, and Final will come into the team.
And he'll be there.
Yeah, I think he'll be there. I could hear a good shout for Bud Sullivan, but Fine is the future.
I like both players. I think they're the halves combo. Yeah. It's just a matter of when not if. Yeah. 2 more from Parko, another good mate. They're all good mates in the show. 2024 will be the last season for Trent Robinson at the Roosters, and he'll end up coaching the Storm when Bellamy retires. I like part 1 of this, not part 2. Yeah?
I like part 1 of this. I don't think Nick Politis is ever going to sack him, right?
Yeah, it's hard to see considering what he's done. Yep.
Considering what he's done. And this is, again, they haven't come last, but they've missed finals before. They were, they've won back-to-back premierships, and then they sort of fell off a little bit.
A lot of players are leaving, though. Is the aura... I don't start saying that it is.
I don't like the word aura, because a lot of players left, and then they just won 2 premierships, right? Fair. I honestly think that if they don't achieve what they want to, he could be the one who could put his hand up again and go, I've taken you where I need to. It's time someone else does it, and they go and get like a Jason Riles or the next up-and-coming coach.
I think that's...
And I think that was why we went and got Craig Fitzgibbon when we did.
Yep, agreed.
As to part 2, I don't see it happening. I think that job there is earmarked for Billy Slater and Cameron Smith, and Billy Slater and Cameron Smith alone.
Yep, and I think there's a reason Cam Smith recently left the Queensland setup.
Yep. He's spending his time... You'll see him down at the Melbourne setup more and more and more. And I actually, the more that I think about it now, is that if Bellamy was to leave, it would be Cameron Smith, and Billy Slater will be involved as either an assistant coach, but he's released to go and do his origin duties, or he's there as a coaching consultant as well, with Craig Bellamy on top.
Exactly right. Now, on the other way, AJ, another very good mate of the show.
Yeah.
AJ says, Roosters' attack drastically improves with Justin Holbrook returning. Every year saw the Titans' attack entering and leaving the defence on their toes. Entertaining, rather. Their defence improved tenfold when Riles went, and Cordner and Friend were there last year. Should be an improved season. I want to take this one. They can't be as bad as they were last year. They are just too darn good.
Yeah.
I think they're defensively, they'll be one of the best teams in the competition. I'm going to push back on the first bit, though, because I just don't think Luke Keary, despite signing a huge extension recently, is it with Sam Walker. I think you replace one or the other, and I think it's Walker now.
Yeah, look, I honestly think that the Roosters backed themselves into a corner when they got Sam Walker so early in his career, and then played him so early.
Well, they've played their hand. He's the guy, they're saying. But we've seen with Lachlan Ilias, it doesn't always work out. And I'm thinking Walker's a little bit better than Ilias in terms of ability.
I think Sam Walker's still got that immaturity. He wasn't allowed a reserve grade career. He was basically signed by the Roosters and thrust into the team, right? He wasn't allowed that come into the team at 21, 22-year-old like Nathan Cleary did.
Good point.
So there's a fantastic player in Sam Walker, and if he ended up at Cronulla, I wouldn't bat an eyelid at it, right?
They'll improve.
Their backline is way too talented now, and you're talking about someone like Billy Smith is going to be playing for the North Sydney Bears or whoever their feeder club is. Their forward pack is good, and I think they'll be there and thereabouts again. They finished 7th last year, and I feel that was way too low down the ladder.
That was a huge A huge whoopsie, and they almost beat the Storm to go through to a prelim.
So I think anywhere between 1 and 6 for the Roosters this year is a good benchmark for them. In terms of the attack, I don't rate Justin Holbrook at all. I think he's an absolute joke. And defensively, if you've got Boyd Cordner and Jake Friend, who are two of the best defenders that our game has ever seen, then obviously you're going to be really good. But yeah, miss me with the Justin Holbrook. The Roosters are just good. Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Rugby League Outlaws, brought to you by our good friends at Top Sport. Don't forget to like and subscribe anywhere you can. Leave us a 5-star comment. Make sure you turn your notifications on for when this drops. Give us the comments, give us the feedback. Dan and I love it, positive or negative.
You know what I love?
We have some fun with it. What is that?
Days away. Days away from Rugby League. I'm excited. I'm going to annoy Terry non-stop between now and then, as I do every single week.
Team List Tuesday.
But it'll be turned up this week. We've got another guest to announce this week too. Keep an eye out. I don't know when that'll drop. I've just got to tick a box. But you know what I'll be ticking this week?
What?
Rugby League.